Hey everybody, it's Tommy Canale and welcome back to Before the Lights podcast. This show that tells you how they made their mark. Today, I don't have just one guest, I have several of them. This is some of the Before the Lights members group and a couple special guests as well. You ever wondered what goes on in these calls? Well, usually there's a former guest of mine on the show, but today, they are the stars of the show. So let's welcome them in. Is there a topic? No. Do I know what we're going to talk about? No. So let's let the good times roll and get this thing started. First and foremost, it's almost like a mini Streator, Illinois reunion, as 5 of the 6 people on this call are from Streator, Illinois, and members of the group, which includes Jeff Harani. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Tommy. Glad to be here.
Missy Mital is from Streator, and welcome her to the show. Missy, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Another one is a special guest. He goes by Fat Grandpa, and if you haven't listened to his podcast, I'm going to put a link in my show notes to that. Jim Reardon, a.k.a. Fat Grandpa, all the way from Happy Hour in Mesa, Arizona. Fat Grandpa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it.
And then we have somebody that is up in California. You probably have heard many people on my shows talk about the signs that are behind me, the wooden signs of the Sands and the Stardust and the Surf Ballroom and Before the Lights. Those have come from Kelly Burgin, and I'm going to put a link to him as well. You can get signs hooked up with him. He's up in Northern California. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tommy.
You are welcome. And last but not least, probably the most special guest of the show. She's been on before with me about a year ago. We did a wine tasting show, and that would be my mother. Mom, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I said we don't have a topic, but before we started recording, Kelly had some breaking news. Kelly, say that again. What is this breaking news you've heard?
I wasn't really intending to roast Misty at all. It's just that Family Dollar has such a large presence in the Midwest in terms of culture and, Friday nights out and everything else, right? Isn't that literally where? But sadly, they had a pretty big loss in the last quarter, so they're closing down thousands of stores. If they're closing thousands, how many of them are there?
Well, that's a good question. I would think if they're closing thousands, there's got to be less than hundreds or teens left. Missy, what's that going to do to Streator? If you lose Family Dollar, what's left?
Well, first of all, he is totally roasting me on purpose. But anyway, I won't have a corner store because it's only a block away. But we do have 3 Dollar Generals in Streator, just to let you know.
Of the Dollar General store, you have 3 of those.
Yes.
By comparison, how many traffic lights?
There might be too many to count. I'm going to have to think about that.
You're a good sport. You always are.
Oh, boy.
You have 3 of those stores. Have they added more?
Yes. We used to have 1.
Yeah.
Things are booming, Cheryl. You better come back for a visit.
I guess I'm just behind the times. I'm going to have to come and check it out.
Well, that tells me that Streator, Illinois is thriving in the Dollar General Family Dollar market. You know what, Kelly, that might be the only store they don't close. It's probably the one keeping that company alive.
The flagship stores, absolutely.
It could be Missy's Corner Family Dollar store and 3 Dollar Generals. I can't believe that the city has got 4 of them that they can actually, support.
Wow. What is the story behind why are we razzing Missy about Dollar General or Family Dollar or whatever?
This came up in our December Zoom call when it was mostly just everybody here. I think Jeff was the only one that wasn't on that. And I don't know, Missy, how did we get started with that? With this whole Dollar General thing?
Grandpa was involved in that.
He was?
Yes.
Yeah, Fat Grandpa.
He probably started the whole.
No, I was here, but people listening probably don't know why we went this way, why we started picking on Missy about this.
Well,
we don't either.
Mr. Grandpa, I was drunk at the time, so I don't really recall. I do recall that name floating up, but I don't remember how we got onto the topic.
Missy, why did we start picking on you about it?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Somehow she mentioned something about a corner store, if I recall. And then I think Fat Grandpa, you were the one that said corner store, and she said Family Dollar, and that opened up the whole can of worms. Because she said it's a block from her house, and basically, let's just go here, Missy. I'm not trying to roast you, but how many times you go there a week?
Now it's gotten better. It used to be almost every day, but now it's probably 3 times a week. I'd never be a spokesperson or something by the time this is over.
But you don't even know it. You know my mom, because she goes there at least that many times. So
I probably see her.
you do. You don't even know that. I'll have to send you a picture of her. So.
They probably shop together at the same time, like right behind each other in the same aisles too.
Hey, I remember when we lived there, there's not a lot of shopping, and if that closes, it's seriously going to be devastating for Streator, because I know you have Walmart, and then you have the Dollar Tree. You have a lot of those little dollar stores there, but like you're saying, everybody goes there 2 or 3 times a week, and it's cheap. So I really am surprised they're closing a lot of those. The market is pretty, that's a pretty full market of people that like that have the money for that.
Well, I can see what Kelly's saying, closing thousands of them. Think about it. There's Family Dollars here in Vegas. Do you go to Family Dollar here in Vegas?
There's one right down the street.
Do you go?
No.
See what I mean? In the big cities, I don't think they're supported probably in the big cities. In the smaller towns like a Streator, in these small rural towns, they probably get supported. But in the bigger cities, they'll probably close them down because people aren't going. They'll go to a Walmart or a Target probably before they're going to go to a Family Dollar or a Dollar General. I can't, it's just, I don't know. Jeff, what do you think? You go to Family Dollar?
I go to Dollar General every Saturday because it's the $5 off 25 coupon. So I go there, I stock up on pop, and so I'm probably part of the reason Family Dollar's shutting down, because I frequent Dollar General only. So, but I used to call on Family Dollar. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I worked for Procter & Gamble and sold them Crest toothpaste and Vicks cough syrup and stuff. And it was a good organization, but then Dollar Tree bought Family Dollar. Way too deep in the weeds here with Family Dollars, but that's the truth. That happened about 8-10 years ago, I guess it was, and then they shut their corporate office down in Matthews, North Carolina, moved it up to Virginia, where the Dollar Tree corporate headquarters was, and they've been losing to Dollar General ever since, unfortunately for them. So.
Well, Dollar General's military, right? They've got
they're based out of Tennessee.
I'm teasing.
Oh, General, I got you now. So
He's got a whole army behind him.
So now we know Missy goes to Family Dollar 3 times a week. Jeff's at Dollar General every Saturday for $5 off 25. So we got that taken care of. Kelly, do you go to either one of those stores?
I do not. There is one nearby in Salinas. There's a Dollar General, but no, I don't go there.
Salute when you go by. So
absolutely. Yeah, they should offer a military discount. That's for sure. Hey, Tommy.
Yes.
I got a complaint for you, man.
Go.
So I took this to a casino cage, tried to cash it, and they told me to go to hell. I mean, what's the deal?
It has no value. Kelly is showing the collector's item poker chip that says "Before the Lights," and he tried to use it at a casino that is not going to have any value. You might even get arrested for that. And even though we're recording and we started, we have a late newcomer to the podcast we're recording, and a friend of the show, and Larry Henry. Larry, welcome to the podcast that we're recording.
Happy to be joined with this array of extremely influential and handsome, I might add, guests. Tommy, good to see everybody. Sorry I'm late, guys. I got tied. It's a busy time for my company with all these conference tourneys and stuff. So yeah, good to see everybody.
Well, before we get into the next topic, and before we transition here, we've been talking, Kelly enlightened us that Family Dollar is going to be closing thousands of their stores coming up. Missy hits that shop 3 times a week. Jeff goes to Dollar General every Saturday for $5 off 25. We're wondering, which one of these stores do you go to?
I'm a big fan of Dollar General. A huge supporter of, I spend probably more money in Walmart and Sam's Club than I think they have me on a wall of fame. Big fan of what's the motto? Save money, live better. Is that Walmart's motto? Yeah, that's kind of my motto.
All right, so now we spent way too much time on Family Dollar, Dollar General. It's time to
Dollar General. That's the one I'm
time to transition this into a new topic. But Larry, tell me what's going on with gambling.com and sports betting world.
I apologize for being so late. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And thank you, by the way, Tommy. I don't know if you got a chance to see the video that our team in Dublin put together the video on the Cheltenham Festival, the big horse race over in event. It's going on now. It goes through Friday in England. It's one of the most heavily wagered events in Europe, in United Kingdom and Ireland. And so Tommy was extremely helpful. We had some fun, and it's really getting a lot of attention. We had some fun going around. I did it where I am, and Tommy took a camera up to Dom DeMarco's and got some really great person on the street type of interviews. Do you know what the festival is? What do you know where it is? And all those sort of things. So we had a lot of fun with it. Just popped it up yesterday. Thank you, Tommy, for all your help with that. I popped up a story and thanked you and Albert for that. In addition to that, we're just really busy. It's the conference, and you guys know this better than anybody. And Tommy, with you and Casey and everybody with your knowledge of college basketball, it's just a real busy time with college basketball. All the conference tournaments are going on, and March Madness Selection Sunday is this Sunday. Now, in addition to that, with everything Tommy is doing and all you guys are involved with getting the Mob Summit going on June 1st, it's just an exciting, busy, exciting time.
Yeah, the Mob Summit is starting to really take off. I mean, it's going to be June 1st at Dom DeMarco's on the patio. We've confirmed Sal Polisi as the main speaker, who was, in with John Gotti, had the Sinatra Club where John Gotti used to hang out. He's going to be the main speaker. And then the other speaker, which I think is just kind of equal to it, is Frank Calabrese Jr. from Family Secrets. Frank wore a wire and turned on his own father, and to kind of save his own life, so to speak, turned him and his uncle in to the FBI. Wrote a book on it, come Family Secrets. He has a residency at the Mob Museum. He's going to speak first. We're talking to some other people. Tickets are starting to sell. The chatter is getting up. I just did a podcast with Nick Christophers, who's going to be here selling books. And also, I think, Larry, I've talked to you, but the rest of the panel that's here does not know this. Sometime end of April or 1st of May, a gentleman here in town has a 1-hour live TV show, and he's going to bring me on for that to talk about the Mob Summit too, to kind of raise some awareness. So I'm looking forward to it. I know Larry is too. It's exciting. I can't wait to get to June 1st and get people here, man. We're going to have fun.
And you've done a great job putting it all together, Tommy, too. It's like we discussed, and Tommy did a podcast about it too, where we talked about how, the Trop is closing on April 2nd and will be torn down. There's just so much mob history in Las Vegas that people like us are familiar with, and new generations of people now are really curious about it, that's disappearing. And so to pull this community together of people like us is really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And Tom, you've just done a bang up job putting it all together. And thanks to Albert and Don DeMarco's for doing this with us.
Yeah. And before you came on, before we recorded, Kelly had brought up about the Tropicana. He saw the bag I have behind me and says, you need a Trop sign. But it's sad. We were talking about it, Kelly, that it's sad that the Trop is going to go, because at one time that corner was hot, and if you go way back in the day, the MGM wasn't there. That was the Tropicana Country Club. And you got the Tropicana across the street. You had the Hacienda that was mobbed up. Tropicana was mobbed up. It was a happening corner, at one time. And now it's kind of like the desolate corner. Trop's going to come down. The stadium will revitalize a little bit. The Luxor is now a big Dorito. It's the triangle with the big Dorito sign on the front of it. And as Kelly, put it perfectly, the Excalibur is circling the drain, waiting to go down as well. At one time, it's sad. The Trop is going to go down, and I'm sad to see it go.
Well, I'm disappointed about it for a couple of reasons. Like you said, it's been here forever, and we all have a history there. But I'm not convinced that stadium is the right place for that. We have a lot of sports things coming in. I know we're going to be a sports town, but I don't know. A lot of people that I talked to, there's a big controversy about it. Larry, I don't know if you've heard about this, that it's they don't like the idea that they're going to put this huge stadium on the corner in the middle of all of these casinos. And, it's going to be such a congested area when there's a game. If we have, you already know this, if we have hockey going on, or there's a concert at a Legion, or there's a football game that's I'm not sure what this is going to be like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's a small space over there. I think they're going to build a resort there too. So, part of it is Las Vegas. The Strip is still, of all there are more than 1,000 casinos in the U.S. There are only 3 states in the country that don't have tribal or commercial casinos. So they're all over the country. Now, some of them are extremely nice casinos, free parking, no room, no resort fees, low table limits. By the way, I'm glad to see it's lots of fun get back to old Las Vegas, low table limits and stuff. But I think what's happening is, with all the competition from gaming around the country, and once California gets legalized sports betting, which someday will come, and then if they like in Manhattan, in New York City, they've been licensed for 3 casinos basically in Manhattan. So one may be on Long Island, there may be one in Queens or whatever. They haven't decided yet, but. So when these big cities get casinos like that, it puts pressure on Las Vegas. Texas still doesn't have legal sports betting or commercial casinos when there are commercial casinos in Dallas and Houston. So I think what Las Vegas is trying to do is reposition itself, even though the Strip still is the leading gaming market in the entire country. No other jurisdiction makes as much money from gaming as the Strip still does. I think they're worried about, how do we diversify? How do we get beyond just gaming? And so, and you guys know this because even before the Knights came around and the Raiders, UNLV back in the Tark days, it's always been a great sports town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're trying to reposition it as they say, as Bill Hornbuckle at MGM and others have said. I think they're trying to make it the sports capital of the world.
I will say this to this panel because this show is going to come out after the one I'm going to tell you about. But on April 11th, I have already sent a copy to Larry to take a listen. I interviewed Michael Green from UNLV. He is a historian. He's on the board of directors of the Mob Museum. We did a whole show on the Tropicana. Not just you guys, but everybody else is going to really enjoy this Trop show that we put out. Because we dove into from the beginning to where it's coming down, and including, which seems to be the big secret in the house, is the 4,290 square feet stained glass ceiling that's over the casino. What are they going to do with that? Are they just going to ruin it and knock it to the ground? Are they going to preserve some of it with UNLV special collections and the Historical Society? Larry's even made a comment of if they'd sell part of it, people like Larry and myself are interested in getting a piece of that glass just to have, it's an iconic thing with the Tropicana is that stained glass ceiling, and nobody knows what they're going to do with it.
Well, and I'll be quiet. I'll say this, and yeah, I totally agree. That needs to be at the Mob Museum. When you think about the mob, Johnny Roselli, Carlos Marcel, when Costello was shot, wounded in New York, he had in his pocket the proceeds from the first couple of weeks or week or so of the Trop's revenue. Johnny Roselli had the gift shop. Frank Rosenthal lived for a while at the Trop. Geri Rosenthal, before she was Jerry McGee at the time, was a dancer at the Trop. Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola wrote The Godfather at the Trop and then went downstairs and gambled. So there's just so much history and lore to that place. Not just Las Vegas, but the whole mob world lore to that place. That if nothing else, parts of that place need to be preserved. I'd love to see them do what they did in San Diego when they built the baseball stadium downtown and preserved that warehouse, which is the left field wall with seats and stuff. It would be so nice if they could incorporate some of the Trop or do something like that.
Yeah, I'll say this. Michael Green said his father was a dealer at Stardust and was released by Frank Rosenthal of his duties. But he said when he watched the movie Casino, his father told him, Miss Stone is very attractive, but she does not compare nowhere near Geri Rosenthal. He said Geri Rosenthal was the most beautiful woman that his father had ever seen in his life. And I think Frank said the same thing. Didn't he, Larry?
Yeah. I mean, she was a legendary figure in Las Vegas. And so, but again, it's all part of the history that, I popped something up on Las Vegas Mafia history page the other day about that taqueria on 577 East Twain, which was the food factory that the Spilatros owned. And that got a lot of feedback. I mean, people are really, while most of the mobbed up casinos on the Strip have been demolished, the Dunes, the Stardust, the Sands, the Hacienda, as you mentioned, Tommy, most of those places are gone. There are a lot of places around town that have a connection to mob lore, and everybody's real curious about it. And the Trop, of course, is the top of mind for everybody because it's closing and is going to be demolished. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of nostalgia and sadness and a lot of history that's going away with that, which is why, again, I love to see Slots of Fun, which also was mobbed up. Carl Thomas had an office at Slots of Fun, and now they're getting back to $2 Heinekens and $2 hot dogs and $5 table limits, coin-operated slot machines. I will be at Slots of Fun before too long.
Well, this all comes back full circle to what we really hit on was the Mob Summit on June 1st. And away from Larry, is anybody else here, before I transition to another topic, have any questions that you want to ask me or Larry on the Mob Summit?
You said it's June 1st. Is it a weekend? It's open to everybody?
It's a Saturday. I will send you a link where you can get tickets. We have 3 levels of tickets starting at $70. The middle ticket is $85. Then there's a VIP at $100. And almost all the VIPs are gone at this point. I think there's 1 or 2 left maybe.
And where's it being held?
Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria. They have a patio. They have an upper and a lower patio. The upper patio is covered and climate controlled. My mom's been there. She can speak to it. It's absolutely beautiful. The VIP and the upper patio tickets, that's the $85 and the $100 will be in there. The lower patio is $70. You cannot see into the patio from there where the stage will be, but we're going to have a big TV and a sound system out there where you can see what's going on. And those tickets are $70. So June 1st, Saturday, June 1st, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
What's it by casino wise?
It's a mile from
Red Rock.
A mile from Red Rock.
Oh, cool.
Suncoast is near there too.
Yeah.
A Boyd property.
Not too far.
Yeah.
I've stayed at the Suncoast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's near there,
It's a cool
yeah.
place. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. And the place is great. And if the weather is, June 1st, it won't matter because he's, like Tommy said, it's climate controlled. And so if it's warm, he'll have the
Not
fan.
for Dollar Store Missy, the $7 seat. It won't be climate controlled there.
It will not be, but I'll tell you what, June 1st, Vegas nights when the sun goes down will be
it's
beautiful. It'll be beautiful. Yeah.
Pizza and beer.
Yeah. And good wine. He's got great wine there.
I plan on drinking a lot of wine that night.
Get your Uber app fired up.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to drive.
I may just have to stay at the Red Rock that night and just kind of stumble down the road.
I'll walk with you. We'll stumble together.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So I will be making a larger and more accurate version of this for your to donate for your
Satrielli's Pork Store Meat Market from The Sopranos. Kelly's going to make a sign to be donated on the auction for that. That'll raise some money.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, Kelly.
It will be a lot bigger and, like I said, more accurate. There's no pig's head in the actual one. I'm well aware of that. This was a stylized attempt. But circling back to wine, Tommy, I'm in a pretty interesting project. I've been tasked with creating museum-like displays for a California winemaking company. They've been around, family's been in the country since 1911, but on the board of directors and part of their brand family is Francis Ford Coppola. So this is going to be a very exciting thing. I have to tell a story visually of the families coming over from Sicily, their Prohibition years. They supplied grapes to bootleggers in Chicago, that whole thing. So this is a very exciting thing. It's for their 100-year anniversary in July. So I'll definitely be bringing some wine back home from that.
Awesome. That's the Delicato family.
How did you know?
Francis Ford Coppola is under the Delicato wine family, and they're actually on my list, Kelly. So if you can connect me, I want to reach out to the Delicato family about being a sponsor for the Mob Summit.
No kidding.
Yes, they're on my list.
The founder, Gaspare, came over in 1911. His grandson is still running everything. I mean, Gaspare is one of these typical guys, comes from a speck of a village. There's poverty, there's corruption. So he gets aboard this crappy little ship, heads to New York, then decides to come out to California. And he came, talk about good timing. You've got prohibition, and he's got a nose for growing grapes. So just the timing and the opportunities that he seized at that moment were awesome. But then comes the 30s, and now you need a permit, and everything has to be legitimate. So this family went through a lot of struggles to get where they are today, but his grandson still runs the business. It is very much a family, still very much a family affair. I just can't believe you've heard of them. That's pretty remarkable.
I get into my wine, Kelly.
I guess so. So
Yes.
yeah, the event it's up at the Hyatt in Santa Rosa, which is not quite the garden spot, but the Hyatt's a beautiful place. So this is quite a task. Like, how do you tell an entire 100-year story through visuals and 3D effects and that sort of thing, with a limited amount of space, basically? So I think a lot of this is going to be editing. For example, you start with a ton of information, take out as much as you can, just bare bones, and try and tell it. But yeah, I was just excited to think that perhaps Coppola is going to be there. I'm 99% sure he'll be at this event. So that was super exciting.
That is exciting, man. That is awesome. Francis Ford Coppola in person. Come on.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I don't, you know how I look. My clients never see me. So obviously, I'll be there, but not where any guest will see me. Just sort of in the shadows. If they see me, they're going to want to, look for my cup to put $1 in it or something,
Just a reminder, this podcast is listener supported, which means you as the listener help support this podcast. You can do that in several different ways. One, join the Before the Lights members group. You can make a donation, simply a PayPal donation, or you can buy me a glass of vino. Links are in the show notes, or go to beforethelightspod.com/support. That's beforethelightspod.com/support. And as always, thank you. I want to transition over to Fat Grandpa. And Jim, let's talk about your podcast. It is Fat Grandpa. You can find it on Spotify. We're working to get it on Apple. It's basically everywhere but on Apple and iHeart. He's interviewing people in their later years of life. He's had some guest on recently who had cardiac arrest. He's had a lady on from our hometown who's 100 years old. Tell me, where did the idea come from for you to do the show?
Well, where I'm at right now in Mesa, Arizona, and I just had 3 months ago, my 4th grandchild. And even before that, I'm a pretty lucky man right now. Things are really good. Everybody's healthy, and I see a lot of bad health around me. And you see people here, there's 780 units on the property I'm on. And, different people that have different style of fun. It could be something as simple as, the husband pushing the wife in the wheelchair down to happy hour to listen to music and pushing her up by the band, and I don't know. Everybody's got a story too, and when you dig deep, they I don't know. People have stories, and I like talking, and I like listening, and I like hearing the stories, and that's where I kind of come up with it. And I thought it was going to be a little easier, finding people. And well, I'm not. You deal with some experienced people, when I put these big old headphones on a 80 or 100-year-old woman, if you look at my website or whatever with Kitty, and there I'm asking her questions and she's looking over to her son to get the answers, and it's a little different. So you kind of, I had somebody say, "Oh, you kept going back to this," and because I tell them, if you stray, I'll get you back where we need to be, and I know you said you don't. I kind of tell them what I'm going to talk about. A lot of it's spontaneous, but I want them to kind of, start at the beginning, like where they grew up, and just tell their story. And it always, so far, it's led into, Ralph Starrett survived a heart attack, probably because of his conditioning. Kitty's a phenomenal woman. She's 100 years old, has a driver's license, second floor condo with 15 steps, walks them every day. That we went home in January for 1 week to see the grandkids and that. And who comes driving around the corner? There she is. I'm just like, oh my God, she really does drive. So I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know where I'm going with it, or I'm just looking for stories, you know. And like I said, my next one's probably going to be lady who lost her son to drugs and that, you know, and that's tough for them people to talk about that stuff too, you know, but you've helped me tremendously. I appreciate it. I really do. Cause they'd still be on that little memory card if it was up to me, you know, in the corner. So you've taken care of all that for me. Well, thank you.
You are welcome. Let me ask you one last question. You having fun?
Oh yeah. I like it. I do like it. Cause I care about people, you know, and there's a lot of good people in the world. It's a rough world right now. You know, there's a lot of bad, but there's also a lot of good. And I like hearing them good stories. And another thing is when a lot of these people have been married 60, 70 years, you know, 55 years. And just to see how they love one another, you know, that's a long time. Marriage is tough. I mean, my wife's a lucky woman. I say that all the time, you know, and she rolls her eyes all the time. So, I mean, it's tough. It's give and take, you know, and there's some great people out there. So
we got a couple more on this panel. I'm going to switch over to Jeff Haraney, who's from Streator, but in Ohio. Tell me, you had knee surgery, replacement knee surgery. How's that going?
That's going great. It happened. I was back in September, so it's a longer recovery than I was like. Oh, I'll be jumping right up here in a month, but no, it takes a little time. But I feel a lot better. I was in a lot of pain before, so it's like all they had to do was not break it, and it was going to be better. So, but I like it, and it's probably going to take. I'm guessing from talking to people another few months, maybe up to 6 before I not feel something every day, but no, it was the best decision I ever made. But I wish I would have done it sooner. I think I've heard a lot of people say that. So
in about another 6 months, you will start seeing you getting to training for, you know, the retirement football league.
Yeah, my basketball, no more cutting, all right? No more volleyball, no more basketball, definitely no more contact sports. But, walking pain-free will be a nice thing.
There you go. There you go. How's the job and the family?
Job and the family are good. We're, one thing that's coming up here in about a month, April 8th, and depending upon where you live in the country, this solar eclipse. You know, the full solar eclipse is coming through, and it's actually going to be we'll be in the path of totality. It's about a half hour away from where I live in Grove City, Ohio, outside of Columbus. So my wife, she's a big nerdy science kind of person. She took the day off. The schools are actually letting the kids out at noon because it's about like 1:30, I think is when it starts, but full total like 3:00 around here in Ohio. So it's actually a lot of people are getting geeked up for it. There's a lot of festivals and stuff going on. There's a drive-in that's having like a little, you $5 per car. You come in, they got picnics set up and everything. So we're mapping out what we're going to do on our solar eclipse day. That's the next fun activity we got coming up here in a month. So
how many children do you have?
I have 6 boys. Like 3 of them still live at home, and then 3 of them, they're still local, so they're in the Columbus area, so it's kind of nice. But a couple grandkids.
Let's go from where you're at to where you and I and my mother and Jim used to be, and that's Streator, Illinois. There's only one person left on this panel that still lives there, that goes to the corner store 3 times a week, and that's Missy Mital. Missy, we're not roasting you. I'm just asking you. Tell me, what's life like back in the 61364 zip code these days?
I don't know. I mean, 3 of my adult kids are out of the house, so I just have 1 left. I have a 13-year-old. It's a sports thing. I work a lot, but I love my job. Kind of getting into some new things with my friends. I said it's time to start doing new things, so we take some classes, and there's a trail that we walk and things like that. I've been taking more trips. I actually, Cheryl had called Jen. I'm going to be coming out there again for a visit soon. So yeah, What else is there to do here?
Well, let's back up. You said classes. Classes on what? Like, what are we going to classes for?
All kinds of things. So, somebody else was talking on here when we first started about being Slovak. So I'm Slovak and Irish, and we want to do something new. So look out, Cheryl, because I took a class on making homemade tortellini. So I can make homemade noodles and I can fold them up and everything.
Well, you'll have to do that for us.
And I took a cookie decorating class so that I can make you dessert. I took a lunar energy class so I can let Jeff know what's going to happen.
Wow.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm a lot busier than I thought.
You have made tortellini, lunar energy. What was the other thing you said? What else?
Cookie decorating.
Cookie decorating. All right. Okay.
Oh, I went to the Disney exhibit in Chicago.
You're keeping yourself busy. That's good.
Yeah, I guess so. Don't be jealous.
I'm going to leave that at that, just right there where it's at. And then the last person I want to talk to is my mother. You're never home. You're constantly on the go. You're leaving tomorrow from this recording, going to spring training in Arizona.
Yeah, I'll be in Mesa. I'm going to be in Mesa tomorrow. Yeah.
You hear
Tomorrow.
that? Hear that,
Yeah.
Fat Grandpa?
Wow.
Yeah, we're
Are you
coming.
going to see the? You going to see the Cubs? or-
Hey! Don't say that word.
We're like half and half. I'm Sox. Jenny is Cubs, and some of the others, like Pat and Debbie, they're split too. So we're going to go to a game. Let's see, Friday it's the Sox versus the Cubs. And then they're doing a game on Saturday. I am not. And then Sunday I forget. Jenny's in charge of games. I just go along. But, but it's just a fun, how that is. It's a fun time.
My son-in-law works for the Cincinnati Reds. I took 5 other guys from the property, Canadians, and we went to Goodyear to the Cincinnati Cleveland Guardians game. And my buddy that moved here, who passed away from cancer, he moved from Vegas down here, and he only lasted about a year here. His son is best friends with the head trainer for the Cleveland Guardians. I guess say that right.
Yeah.
So I'm at the game, and I have my Cincinnati Reds free jersey on that my son-in-law gave me. And I'm looking for the trainer. My friend's kid described him. I've never met this kid. His name's Joey Kessler. He's for the Cleveland Guardians. And I see this kid walking across the outfield grass from right center, and I yell, "Hey, Joey, Coal City, Illinois." That's where he's from. And he looks and he sees this big idiot in the Reds. And I end up talking to the kid for like 15 minutes. He was a real nice kid. And he was the trainer for the Colts the year they beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. And that. So anyway, he's an Illinois boy. And then my son-in-law worked for the other team. So tickets were free.
Fat Grandpa, I just interviewed the starting outfielder for the Reds, TJ Friedel.
I know. I sent my son-in-law the link. I don't know if he's busier than heck with spring training and that. And I forgot his name. It wasn't Friedel, was it?
Friedel.
Leading off for him.
Yeah, he might. He said he might either be in the 1 or the 8 spot. He didn't know where he was going to be. He didn't care.
I think
he didn't care. He's starting for the Reds. That's all he cares about.
Yeah. I told the story the right way then, because I had listened to the podcast and that. So, yeah.
Yeah, he trains about 2 minutes from where I live with a friend of mine, Rob Martinez, at the gym.
Is that his hometown? Vegas, his hometown?
Yeah, he lives here in Vegas now. Does anybody want to bring anything up? Jeff, anything?
Covered Dollar General shopping. I think we're good on my end over here. Ohio's good. So
Ohio's good. What about Streator, Illinois? You good, or you got anything you want to add?
I'll be back here again.
You got questions? Shoot, what's your questions?
Okay, I have a question for Kelly. I want to know how he got into the whole sign making thing. Like, how do you figure out I'm good at this and this is what I want to do?
I'm still working on the getting good at it part. I actually read history in college and art history, owned a restaurant and for a long time. And it was a British pub. So I made signs for the interior of the place because I couldn't buy them anywhere. And that was 20 something years ago. And it just sort of progressed from there gradually. So I've been pretty lucky.
Carol, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Raising your family in a town like this, how did you decide? Because I think Jen left when we were in junior high.
Mhm.
So how do you decide, okay, we're going to Vegas?
Well, Tommy's father was 90% of that decision. Because we were in the vending machine business and we sold it, and he had talked for years. We've been out here just a couple times, and I don't know, every time we'd come out here, he said, I think someday, it's where we want to be. And at that point in our life, I just thought, yeah, let's just do it. So we came out here first without the kids. We spent a week. We got him registered in school. We found a house to rent. We did everything we needed to do. We came back and got him and drove out here. And, it was tough. I'm not going to say it wasn't for a while, but it was probably the best thing we ever did. Because nothing against Streator. I always love Streator. That's my hometown, seriously. But everyone learned to be independent on their own. The kids, from Jenny's age to high school, they all got jobs on their own. They learned how to drive in a big city. I mean, it was just I think Tommy will agree with me on that. I think it was just probably the best decision we ever made.
I'll concur with that. I mean, as a 17, 18-year-old, I grew up on, Larry will laugh at this, on the old strip in old downtown where you could drive down Fremont Street. And as a 17, 18-year-old, we found ways to get into, well, there used to be the lounge acts. It was a 2-drink minimum. It was free to get in. And we would go to different lounge acts all over town and see different bands play. At 17, 18, I had no problems getting served or gambling or anything like that. I mean, I grew up on the strip. It was an eye opener coming from a small, Midwestern farm town to Las Vegas, but it definitely changed my life.
Yeah.
Tommy, you talking about the late 1980s?
Mid 80s.
It was like 84. Yeah. We moved out here in 84.
84. Yeah. I turned 21 in Vegas, year the Excalibur opened, 1990. And I moved to Vegas in 87, I think. And yeah, you could still you could see free. I saw Frank Sinatra Jr. for free. Mm-hmm. You just wander into the right places at the right time. And it just seems like all that charm is gone.
Yeah.
Food was never an issue. Parking was never an issue. Yeah. You could go on a dime and have a blast. It's just sad what's happened.
So Kelly, you'll probably remember this. I used to be a radio DJ at KMZQ Radio, was 100.9. And every Saturday night, I did live remotes from the Shark Club on the radio for KMZQ Radio. Yeah, I did.
Oh, I thought of that forever. Oh my gosh. Your voice sounded so familiar. The very first podcast I heard, and I think I even asked you years ago, were you on the radio before? Yeah. Yep. Sounded so familiar.
Yeah, I did. I did 6 to midnight for KMZQ for a long time. And then on Saturday nights, they transitioned me to do live remotes from the Shark Club. And then about once or twice a month, they'd have me come in the morning and do stuff with the morning people, with Randy Hart, and I remember who he had, but I did stuff with the morning crew. I used to drive the van around and give away stuff for like pool parties and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a great gig that must have been.
Oh, I got some photos that, will go down in history.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. The girl I was going out with back then managed the Hunt Ridge Theater. So I had access to all kinds of great, musical acts, and all the du jour acts of the early 90s. Toad the Wet Sprocket, Four Non Blonde, Chili Peppers, whoever would show up there and play. That was just a magical time for me back then. But yeah.
Hunt Ridge Theater, I think I saw Quiet Riot there.
That sounds about right. Yes. Yeah. It's a really cool little place.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Larry, Cillian Murphy is in the news quite a bit lately. You're a fan of Peaky Blinders, are you not?
A little bit. I need to get more into it. I've watched a little bit of it. I need to dig more deeply into that group of hooligans from Great Britain back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's loosely based on the Cray family, if memory serves. But Murphy's actually Peaky Blinders ends with some question marks in series 6. That was supposed to be it. But he's coming back to do a film that's going to be a conclusion for the entire series. So I would highly recommend it if you haven't already. I know you've watched Kin, I think, which is an Irish mob sort of.
Yeah. I've dug into a little bit of it, and really a lot of online research where I've looked at the pictures of the characters that they were based on that are in the series. And it's just really interesting, a really interesting group of young. I guess the name comes from that they had razor blades or something in the bills of their caps that they would use to fight with. And I may be way off because I'm not an expert on the series, but it sounds really fascinating. I need to dig into it.
It really is. And you see some great characters from both Cillian Murphy and Tom Hardy, who plays the leader of the Jewish mob in London, early in the century. Fantastic acting, great storytelling, take a little leaps here and there, but I would highly recommend it. I cannot emphasize that enough to you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Really enjoy it. Yeah.
Larry, what about you? What final questions do you have for anybody?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what your mom said about how much the town has changed and how it's morphing into a sports town, and just listening to everybody talk about the Hunters Theater and cruising the Fremont Street and all that. It really is a different town. But fortunately there are some places left that are old Las Vegas, and it's still there. It's still out there.
We went to the Italian American Club about a month ago. That's still old Vegas.
Loved that place. Larry, when you come in town, we're going to the Italian American Club. You want to talk about stepping back in history, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the new Las Vegas. I'm not one of those who, I hate new Las Vegas. It's a different city, clearly, but I love both. I love old Las Vegas and I love new Las Vegas. I mean, I was only semi-joking about what they're doing. It's lots of fun. Just, there's the Fremont downtown, you still, Binion's, there's still some places, the El Cortez, where, you get a taste of old Las Vegas, but new Las Vegas is dynamic, and they more and more people keep coming in. It's not, it's a whole new generation of people. So yeah, I'm a fan of both, old and new.
One of these days, Larry, we got to do a show and talk about the places of old Las Vegas, the Tillerman, Port Tack, the old Venetian, some of these old places, the Leaning Tower of Pizza, the Upper Crust, Tony Roma's, some of these old places that aren't around that people nationwide and worldwide don't even know about. But I think we could put a nice spin on what old Vegas was at the time.
Here and where the gold rush was next door, where the Ahern, I think, is where that was. So yeah, there's still a ton of fascination about those old places, Tommy. Ton of fascination.
Mom,
Tommy, did you ever have the chicken soup at Alpine Village?
Oh, 100 times, and the peanuts all over the floor. A guy
all over the floor.
Love the Alpine Village.
Yeah,
love the Alpine Village.
A guy by the name of Tom Hanley is the guy that firebombed and blew up the Alpine Village he was told on a hit. He married a lady by the name of Wendy Mazzaros, who wrote a book called Vegas Ragdoll. Benny Binion sent her to Texas to become a prostitute. She ran away, married Tom Hanley. He had a body in the freezer. This guy him and his kid were bombing and killing people left and right. It's a great story.
At a house on Ogden. At a house on Ogden, and the house is still there.
It's still there.
Where they live.
I've tried to get Wendy on the show a couple times. I have her book. I mean, you want to talk about a fascinating story. I mean, yes, I remember Alpine Village. That's Tom and Gamby Hanley. Yes.
And there are a lot of people around like that still. I saw the Sports Betting Hall of Fame at Circa, the Billy Walters, the Billy Baxters, those legendary Las Vegas figures are still around. Billy Walters has a book out now about some of those days. So those stories haven't gone away. There's still a lot of fascinating people around from that era.
Mom, where did you and Dad like to go? Was it Tillerman? Where else did you guys go?
We loved the Tillerman. That was one of our favorite places.
East Flamingo,
Golden
the roof
Steer.
used to open up.
Yeah. Golden Steer, which is, is still there. That was kind of a place whenever he had business dinners, that's where we went. And talking about, want to talk about sports, I mean, we were huge UNLV fans. I mean, I still am, but we followed the team. We went with them on the road when they played in tournaments, and it was just a great time.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Larry, because I love old Las Vegas, but living here, I love the way it is now too. It's a whole new experience, and I call it a big, small town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it is, because you see people all the time that you're connected to or you know from somewhere. So even though it's growing, it's still the same, got that little small town vibe in certain areas.
It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Fat Grandpa, what do you got left to go?
I got a whole list for Larry, but I won't bore all the other people. But I misunderstood. I thought Larry lived in Vegas, and you said when you come to town. So where's Larry's hometown?
I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas now, Northwest Arkansas, which is where the university is and Walmart's located. It's all, Bentonville, Fayetteville. It's all sort of one metropolitan area in Northwest Arkansas. That's
your Walmart connection, huh?
Yeah, I was just sort of joking about that. I don't work for them, but.
Oops, I was going to take you to lunch when I come up to Vegas in a couple of weeks, but I thought you lived there. But I'm going to rattle off some really quick stuff that I wrote down, Larry.
Yeah.
You talk about slots of fun. Tomorrow I'm taking my wife and her friend to play blackjack here in Arizona at one of the casinos that has a lower limit that they like and enjoy. Yeah. And you had mentioned the Circa and that. Did you go to Bet Bash?
I didn't go to Bet Bash. I was going to go. Stephanie Rosenthal, Frank Rosenthal's daughter, was there. Billy Baxter, Jimmy Vaccaro was there. A lot of Billy Walters, a lot of legendary.
You know who Spanky is then, right?
Yeah. He's the guy who puts on Bet Bash, right?
Yeah, in the Hall of Fame. You were at the Hall of Fame thing?
Yeah, no, I didn't go. It was in August, I think August 11th or something like that.
So that was connected to Bet Bash or whatever.
That was connected, and now it's at Circa, as you know, that Hall of Fame. And what a legendary group of people that first class was. Yeah. Now they're putting together the second class. I'm not going to miss it this year. Yeah, I really regret missing. I wrote a lot about it for the company I work for, Gambling.com.
I had a plane ticket to the first one in New Jersey, and I backed out. It was like a Thursday, Friday. It was the very first one because I've listened to that Spanky. I found all them guys during COVID. I started listening to podcasts. Captain Jack, Spanky, Rufus. I don't know if you know that whole group. Yeah. They're all at all that stuff. So we got to hook up sometime.
Absolutely. They've done a great job with that Hall of Fame, and they really got a great first class.
Hey, Larry, I just checked the map. Fayetteville's just outside the totality line right there. You're going to have to drive about 45 minutes to an hour towards Little Rock to get if you want to be in the Eclipse totality right there on April.
What's funny about it?
Where's Streator at? Where's Streator in that?
You're right. You got to go to Indy.
What will we see in Streator? I'll be home about then the 8th.
Probably nothing.
Yeah. Nothing.
It's funny because where I am is what I'm talking about. I mean, even in this state, there are 3 really great casinos: a legendary horse track at Oaklawn, which is Hot Springs, which was a mobbed up city. So, and a lot of where I am now, it reminds me of, on a much smaller scale, the way Las Vegas was and is. A lot of growth, because of Walmart, real global international community, a lot of scientists and IT people and tech people, because it's the global headquarters of Walmart and the university. So there's a lot of that same sort of dynamic feel that you get from a place that's really growing like Las Vegas. Reminds me a lot of that on a much smaller scale.
Mother, last question before I close it up.
No, I don't really have any questions, but I enjoy seeing everyone. Jeff, it's nice to see you. I haven't seen you here for quite a while.
We've been missing each other. We've been on and off.
Yeah. I always love all the different questions that come up, things that maybe I wouldn't think of, but it's interesting. So I appreciate that.
Before we go, I need everybody to do me a big favor. It takes 30 seconds out of your day. And I guarantee you 90% of these people I'm looking at right here on Zoom have not done this 30-second thing. And that's go to your app and give me 5 stars, nice comments, type in like 3-4 words to help me grow this show. It helps immensely if you just rate and review the show. That's going to do it for this episode of Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale. And until next time, everybody, I salute a chin chin.